All right. So one of the things we're going to talk about here is pulmonic stenosis and pulmonic regurg. So we're going to go through each one, right? One of the things that I need inside your head is really a normal day. You see, guys, if you know what a normal day is, an abnormal day will really kind of hit you harder. In other words, you're like, okay, well, who's not working and why? So on a normal day, we got the inferior vena cava and we got the superior vena cava. So you got all this venous blood going into the right atrium. Then during diastole, that tricuspid valve opens up and all the blood goes down to the right ventricle. Then during systole, all that venous blood goes through the pulmonic valve and then goes out to the lungs, to the pulmonary, and now we turn the blue blood into red blood, right? So we oxygenate. And then we come back oxygenated from the pulmonary vein into the left atria. And then during diastole, the mitral valve opens up and we fill up the left ventricle. Then during systole, out the aortic valve we go and out to the body we go. All right, so does everybody see the normal day? So this is a very normal day. This is right now what your heart's doing. This is exactly what it's doing. And they tend to be coupled. So the atrias contract at the same time. That's during diastole. They're just pushing blood down. And during systole, the ventricles are pushing it up. That's it. Your heart's a pump. That's literally its job. It's just pumping blood out to the body, and that's what it needs to do. So let's go through abnormal days. All right, so has everybody got the normal day? You're like, yeah, Joe, I see this coming in and I see this leaving. I see your point. Okay, so let's go abnormal. So let's go to pulmonary stenosis. Okay, just common sense here. Common sense. If my pulmonary valve does not open up well, it's stenotic, right? It's stenotic. Can I ask you a question? Where's the blood flow going to back up to? Remember, the pulmonic valve won't open up very easily. So where's your backflow going to?
Right.
Just think about it. And your answer is going to be the right ventricle. Yeah, exactly. It's going to backflow here, Joe. Yeah. Okay, you're the right ventricle. What are you going to do, guys? You're going to dilate. Exactly. No, that's exactly what's going to happen to you. And if I'm a dilate, then wait a second. Then my right ventricle gets hypertrophied on EKG. Exactly. So wait a second, I get right ventricular hypertrophy with pulmonary stenosis? Oh, that makes sense. And that's exactly what it does, guys. That's exactly what it does. You get right ventricular hypertrophy. Okay, here's a little concept. You ready? Here we go. Guys, imagine you dilate a ventricle. You see it? Does everybody see me dilating it? See the blood flow back up to the right ventricle? Ever seen it? Okay, keep dilating it. Can you see how you're stretching the wall? But most importantly, can you see how you're stretching the wires in the wall? Remember the Purkinje fibers? Yeah, they're in the wall, aren't they? If I keep stretching it, what am I going to do with your Purkinje fibers? Kink. Oh, sorry. Stretched them so much I broke them. Welcome to right bundle branch block. That's what right bundle branch block is telling you guys. Someone destroyed your Purkinje fibers. Now, most common cause is hypertrophy. Yes, guys, play outside the box. Think farther. Hey, then you're telling me, Joe, if I get left ventricular hypertrophy and it goes unopposed, then I can stretch the wires on the left ventricle and get, oh, wait a second, left bundle branch block. Exactly. No, that's exactly what happens, folks. So now does everybody understand? You're like, huh. Oh, that's that test question I saw about pulmonary stenosis and right ventricular hypertrophy and right bundle branch block. But now does it make sense? That's what I'm trying to get inside your head. Not that you memorize this for a test, but that you're like, wait a second. So you're telling me, Joe, I'm going to get right bundle branch block for my right ventricular hypertrophy. 100%. 100% you will. Now, does everybody see how that blood flow back up to the right ventricle here produces the right ventricular hypertrophy, which can possibly produce right bundle branch block? And that's exactly what happens. So here we are with this stenotic Pulmonic valve. Got it? You see, it's thick, doesn't work well. It's all thickened. It's just like, just doesn't want to work. Doesn't want to open up. You get it? Just doesn't want to open up. It wants to stay closed. It's just stenotic. It's like, hey, check me out. I'm all stenotic. Just don't want to go. Don't want to go. Don't want to go. So now does everybody see the blood flow backing up to the right ventricle? Open your mind. Where's going to backflow next? If the right ventricle is backed up, then the right atria is going to back up. Wait a second. Then I'm going back out to the body. 100%. You mean I could get JVD with this? 100%. Then wait a second. Then I don't have signs of right ventricular failure. Then my legs will swell up. Yes. See how it fits? See the sequelae? And now you're like, okay, that makes sense, Joe. I see your point. I see your point. So you're telling me that this is all going to back up. Remember, it's just a pump, guys. And then one side of the pump's not working, so it's going to fail on that side, right? It's going to fail on that side. So this is what we see there with pulmonary stenosis, right? And then the most common cause of pulmonary stenosis, guys, the most common cause, right, tends to be congenital. You know, we see it's other cardiac syndromes like tetralogy flow. Remember the tetralogy flow that you memorized? This was one of the most common causes. This is the question that you've seen rear its ugly head, where they talk about rubella during pregnancy. And you're like, oh yeah, I know that was part of that torch thing. Remember the torch thing that you memorized in school, right? Remember the torch? Okay. Well, the R in torch, the R in torch was rubella. And this is a common cause of pulmonary stenosis, right? So this is one of the common causes that we knew of it. And so what we try to do, guys, is like, because all this backflow is going back, you know, we try to open it back up. Okay, open your mind. Just think about what I'm getting ready to say. All right, so I see the pulmonary stenosis. I see the right ventricular hypertrophy. I see the right axis deviation. I see the right bundle branch block, Joe. I see it backing up into the right atria. Let me ask you something. Just one more question. One more. Where are you lacking blood flow to? And you're going to go, the lungs. Exactly. So what are you going to complain about? Shortness of breath. If I go to exert myself, can I oxygenate? No. Take a pulmonary stenosis and walk them. Watch what they do. They last about 20 feet. And they're like, we got to slow down. I can't keep this pace. Ask them to walk upstairs. They can't do it. That's why they take the elevator. Okay, does everybody see this now? Now does everybody see the bigger picture? And don't worry, we're going to talk about how to do the murmurs, the squatting, inspiration. Don't worry, we're going to get to that in the end. But I want you to kind of get the concept of what's really going on in the pump. That's what I need. I need that piece first before I can work on anything else. Because without that, all we're doing is just memorizing stuff, guys. I'm telling you, I'm not a big fan of that, guys. I've just seen that be disastrous too many times in PA's students' life. Okay. Let's go back. One more piece. I'm going to add one more. So we saw the pulmonary stenosis, right? We saw things back up into the right ventricle, correct? We saw the right ventricle get hypertrophied, correct? We saw that we could get right bundle branch blocked from this, couldn't we? Because we would stretch the wires. And I see how everything, oh my God, I'll back up into the right atrium. And then I can back up into the body. You read this, you just didn't realize what you're looking at. Who read during their PA school career about the different types of pulmonary stenosis, right? There was a stage 1, stage 2, stage, right? You saw those. And you're going, yeah, Joe, I saw that on the book, but I can't remember a damn thing. What they were really alluding to, guys, is how far back up it is. How backed up are you? Are you backed up just to the right ventricle? Are you backed up to the right ventricle and right atria? Are you backed up from the right ventricle right, and back out to the body? So does everybody see they kind of stage it, right? Does that make sense to you? They stage it. And that's when you get out in the real world, guys, that's kind of a fork in the road, right? As to how we treat these people and stuff like that. One more. Just one more. And I'll leave you alone. Well, just for pulmonary stenosis, I'll leave you alone. One more. Ready? I want you to start viewing S1 as the date. It's a date between the mitral and tricuspid valve. So they work together. They're like a date. You get it? They're just a couple. They show up, right? They're doing their diastole thing, right? Does that make sense? They're doing that S1, right? So there they are. They're a date. They work together. Got it? That's S1. S2 is the date between the aortic and pulmonic valve. They're a date. They show up together. See them? Walking in the Chili's together. They are hand in hand. They're like, oh, who's that? That's S2. That's the aortic and pulmonic. Look at them. Oh, nice. That's a nice couple. They're nice. Who's S1? Oh, that's the other couple over there. That's mitral and tricuspid. They're very nice. Because they show up together. Got it? They're showing up together. Okay. Imagine I have a stenosis. Just think about this for a second. You got a stenotic pulmonic valve. You see it? Okay. And you got right ventricular hypertrophy behind you. You see it? Ask yourself a question. Are you going to be able to show up on time with the date for the aortic valve? In other words, the aortic valve, he's fine. He's still working. He's still showing up. But you're the pulmonic valve. You're stenotic. And you got all this right ventricular hypertrophy. So you got longer time to fill. So are you going to show up on time or are you going to be late? Yeah, you're going to be late to the date, aren't you? Yeah, you are. You're going to be late. 100%, which means then wait a second, then the aortic valve showed up early and the pulmonic valve showed up late. Wait a second, they're not showing up as a couple. Wait a second, they're split. Welcome to a split S2, folks. That's what it means. It means someone's late to the date. Now, aortic stenosis, you're right, it's a split S2 because the aortic valve's late and the pulmonic valve's on time. But so does everybody see what a split S2 means? It means someone's stenotic and someone's late. Do I have a split S2 in aortic stenosis? Yes. Do I have a split S2 in pulmonic stenosis? Yes. We need more information to pull that apart. So does everybody see what the split S2 is telling you? It's like someone's late. Who's late? Pulmonic aortic. What'd you do? Oh, you're stenotic. Oh, okay. I get it. That's why you're late to the date. Makes sense. All right. So does everybody see that now? So now let's wrap this up. So what have you got? I got pulmonary stenosis, Joe. What's going to happen? Blood flow is going to go back to the right ventricle. Then what's going to happen? I'm going to get right ventricular hypertrophy. What happens if I keep stretching the right ventricle? I'm going to get right bundle branch block. I'm going to get right axis deviation. I may even get blood flow back up to my right here and back out to the body. Depends on what stage I'm in. And and then of course my S2 is going to be split because I'm late. Remember? So, splits mean someone's late. Got it? So it doesn't really work that much with regurg. All right, does everybody see this? I'm split. That's exactly what I have in pulmonary stenosis. Does everybody see this? Okay, so that's what we have, right? That's what we have. So that's pulmonary stenosis, right? So hopefully that makes more sense to you. Then there's pulmonary valve regurg. Okay, so think about it. Just makes sense. So your regurg just means you're open 24/7. You do not close. You're regurging. What are you? I'm regurg. What do you do? I'm open 24/7. I don't care which way you go. Just go. All right, so when you're regurg, what are you doing? I'm open. When? All the time. All the time. So now do you understand when they were saying pan-systolic or pan-diastolic? What they were really telling you, someone's door was wide open all the time. That's what they were saying to you. So when they said a pan-diastolic murmur, you're like, okay. And of course, you'll need more information to figure out what it is. Or if they said pan-systolic, you're like, okay, I got to go back to the normal day and figure out whose door is wide open 24/7. So that's what they're saying to you guys. That's what they're saying. So now, as everybody see, in pulmonary valve regurg, it's a regurg. What are you? I'm open 24/7, Joe. So are you open during systole? Yep. Are you open during diastole? Yep. I'm open on holidays. You get it? So now think about what I'm getting ready to say. Just sit back and think. Don't memorize. You're the pulmonic valve, right? Should you be open during systole? You're like, yes, I should be open for business on systole. That's true. So I like it that way. I like the open door that way. But should you be open during diastole? I'm like, no, it's supposed to be closed. But wait a second. I'm open 24/7, so my problem's going to be during diastole. Oh my God, so this is a diastolic murmur. Exactly. And so now the blood flow that should have been going out to the lungs is coming back where? It's coming back to the right ventricle. Oh, so I got no blood flow in my lungs. Exactly. Well, how do I present? Well, I'm short of breath. I got dyspnea on exertion. I can't do much. Exactly. And that's the point I'm trying to make with you here on that. Okay, so does everybody see, if I say the word regurg, what am I saying to you? I'm open 24/7 and holidays. Aortic regurg, mitral regurg, tricuspid regurg, pulmonic regurg. When's the door open, guys? All the time. So your question that you have to ask yourself, when should the door be closed? That's going to tell me if it's a systole or diastolic murmur. Does everybody see this? And that's the point I'm trying to make. So the most common cause of pulmonary regurg, it tends to be actually following repair of tetralogy of flow. So remember tetralogy of flow had the pulmonary stenosis. So we go in there to fix the valve. And so what ends up happening is that sometimes that valve isn't fixed completely. It's like the hole's made too big. And so they start to regurg on this. So this is one of the common things that we'll see in pulmonary regurg is like actually it follows tetralogy flow repair is what we'll see. And then again, the initial symptoms are exertional, shortness of breath, right ventricular, and we get, inability of the right ventricle to increase its output. It's like, yeah, that makes sense, Joe. I can't get blood to my lungs. Exactly, guys. Exactly. So this is the whole point. It's like my lungs aren't oxygenating blood. I can't move oxygenated blood outside. I'm in a lot of trouble, right? I'm in a lot of trouble. And then untreated severe pulmonary valve regurg. Well, now does everybody see the enlargement? See the right ventricle getting bigger? Because where's the blood flow going back to? The right ventricle. Does everybody see how the right ventricle just can't push things out? So if I was to look at the ejection fraction of the right ventricle over a period of time, you're like, yeah, it keeps backflowing in and it keeps dilating and it can't get it out because when it gets it out, well, it leaks right back in. So now does everybody see how this starts to run into trouble? Now does everybody see how your body and your heart gets hypoxic? See it now? See the arrhythmias? See what's going on? Because remember, your heart's a muscle, just like your bicep, your tricep, your quads. They need oxygen. So if I don't put oxygen to my bicep, what does it do? It goes into spasm. It's exactly what it does. And so that's the point I'm trying to make to you is that. All right, let's do this. This is the part I know you hate, but I'm going to do it. And we're going to wrap it up because I want this to make sense to you now. Not that I got it all brutally memorized. All right. Can we all agree just foundationally, just have a foundational agreement? Let's just sit here and just agree just some certain facts that we need to know. Can we agree that when I inspire, when you do inspiration, you're doing this. What you're literally doing, guys, is you're pulling in the venous system to the right side of the heart. Got it? Is everybody? So go ahead, guys. Take a deep breath. Go ahead. Come on. Come with me. Here we go. Feel your chest getting bigger? Feel all that air coming in? Well, guess who else is coming in? Blood, the venous blood. You're kind of helping. Because remember, your venous system, it's like an inchworm. Just inches home. Oh, he's so slow. So when I inspire, I'm like, I'm pulling it in. Can we also all agree, just foundationally, can we all agree that the more blood flow you put over a valve, the louder it sounds? Can we have an agreement to that? So can we all say that the more blood flow I put over a valve, the louder the murmur sounds? One more time. The more blood flow I put over a valve, the louder it sounds. Okay. So when you inspire, what'd you do? Pull things to my venous system. What'd you pull in there? More blood. Who's on the right side? Tricuspid pulmonic. Inspiration right. That's tricuspid pulmonic. What are you doing? I got more blood flow back home, Joe. I got more blood flow over here on my right side. Okay. Well, who's on your right side? Pulmonic, tricuspid. Okay. Hi. Pulmonic stenosis or pulmonic regurg. Your call. I'll let you pick one. Inspiration, expiration. You're going to go, oh, inspiration, Joe. Inspiration is right, which means expiration's left. Expiration. Go ahead. Blow air out. Come on, guys. Come with me. Take a deep breath. Now blow up. Does everybody see how your chest just caved in? Can everybody see the decrease in intrathoracic pressure? Can everybody see how the aortic valve's like, oh, dude, check it out outside. Pressure's low. Oh, easier to push out. I can put more blood flow against you. So inspiration right, expiration left. Inspiration right, expiration left. One more time, guys. Say it with me. Inspiration right, expiration left. Okay, so if I have a left-sided murmur, aortic stenosis, aortic regurg, mitral stenosis, mitral regurg, I'll let you pick one. I will let you pick one. Make it sound louder. Oh, expiration. On the right side, pulmonic stenosis, pulmonic regurg, tricuspid stenosis, tricuspid regurg. Just pick one. Just pick one. I'll let you pick one. Make it sound louder. Oh, inspiration. Now, does everybody see that? See how that test question rears its head? And I know you've seen this question. I know you have. You're like, yeah, Joe, I have. But I go back to my memorization. Oh, you're making sense. Oh, I like that way. Right? There we go. Squatting is a party. You see, when you squat, what you're literally doing, guys, is you're pushing all the blood flow back home. So when you and I squat, literally, it all comes in. It all comes in. Does everybody see this? And so we're pushing all our blood flow back home. And so squatting is a party, which means, wait a second. If you're pushing all the blood flow back home, everybody's coming back home. Then who sounds louder? Everybody. Aortic stenosis, aortic regurg, mitral stenosis, mitral regurg, tricuspid. Just go down the line, folks. What'd you do? I was partying. What'd you do? I invited everybody here. Who do you invite? All the blood. Which valve's going to see it? All of them. Who's going to sound louder? All of them. So now does everybody see what squatting is? It's a party. I always tell you it's a party. It's like, what are you doing? Everybody's here. What are you doing? Partying. Standing in Valsalva. Okay, standing Valsalva. When you stand, you do Valsalva. What you're doing is when I stand, all my blood flow goes to my leg. So blood flow is away from my heart. Do you have more or less blood flow on your valves? Less. And then when I do Valsalva, what am I doing? So when you do that, move. You're increase that intrathoracic pressure. And that, remember the venous system, he's weak. 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 He's an inchworm. What did you just do to your inchworm? Well, I just increased my intrathoracic pressure. Do you think your inchworm can fight that? No, not at all. He can't fight. He can't fight anything. He needs help. Exactly. So if I increase my intrathoracic pressure, I'm going to decrease my venous return, which means I have less blood. You have less blood. You have less blood flow over your murmurs, don't you? And you're like, oh, everybody sounds less. Exactly. Remember, we have our two exceptions. Our two exceptions, I call them the low volume lovers, right? That's hokum and mitral valve prolapse. We'll get to that on the next Sunday Funday. But they like they like little blood to sound louder. So there are exceptions. Those are my two exceptions, hokum and mitral valve prolapse. What do they like? They like low volume. So I had to get low volume, standing Valsalva. And then hand grip, the one that you hate, increased peripheral vascular resistance, right? You already read that, didn't you? What they're saying to you is that I'm making it harder for the aortic valve to open. That's all. I'm making it harder, which means if you got aortic stenosis, you see it? Barely open up. You're stenotic, aren't you? And your S2 is split. And you're like, I can barely open up. And now I'm going to make it harder to open up? You're like, oh, forget you. I can't open up at all. So what happens when you do hand grip with aortic stenosis? It goes away. Regurg, that door is open 24/7. Always open. Always open. You do hand grip. Back against the aortic valve. Remember, the door's open. They're like, oh, I'm going to slide right on through. I'm going to sound louder. And that's exactly. So now with all this new little piece of information, let's tie it up. Repetition works, guys. That's what I always say. Let's pick on pulmonic stenosis first. So what do you got? I got a stenotic valve, Joe. Where's the blood flow back up to? The right ventricle. What's it going to do? Dilate. What am I going to get? Right ventricular hypertrophy. Then what's going to happen? I might get right axis deviation and I might bust the wires. Okay, I see it. How am I going to present? Well, I can't oxygenate. So of course I'm going to be short of breath. What happens if you exert me? I'm even worse. Inspiration, expiration. Inspiration. What if I squat? You're partying. Of course it's going to sound louder. Does hand grip challenge the pulmonic valve? No, Joe. Hand grip just challenges the aortic valve. Exactly. And how do I want to do with pulmonary? And then remember, where is the pulmonic valve located? It's in the left second intercostal space, because who's on the right? Okay, that's going to be our aortic valve, which means, so I'm going to have and pulmonic stenosis, just think about it. When are you having troubles with this valve opening up? During diastole or systole? And you're like, oh, during systole. So I'm going to have a systolic ejection murmur with right ventricular hypertrophy, with right bundle branch block, with right axis deviation, that's going to be sitting in the second intercostal space on the left side, right? And inspiration will make it sound louder. If you want to play it backwards, expiration will make it go away. Squatting, I'm partying. Hand grip is going to matter? Not at all. And that's exactly how pulmonic stenosis presents. See how this fits? Then let's go to pulmonary regurg. Remember, you're open 24/7, 365. You are wide open. You're always open, even on the holidays. I got pulmonary regurg. When am I going to have problems with this open door? During systole, it's like, no, I want the blood out. During diastole, yeah, I want it closed. So it's going to be a diastolic murmur that starts in the left second intercostal space and radiates down, right? Going to radiate down towards the apex. I'm going to be short of breath. I can see how that right ventricle can eventually hypertrophy. I'm going to have the shortness of breath, shortness of exertion. Inspiration, expiration. Remember, it's on the right. Inspiration. Expiration, make it probably go away. And then squatting, it's a party. Does hand grip make it to the pulmonic valve? No, not at all. It won't make it there, Joe. What does hand grip really challenge? The aortic valve. Now does everybody see this? This is starting to make more sense. Okay, and then my last slide. You see, guys, make your life easy. You see, guys, you only have one murmur on the right. That's just the aortic valve. But now does everybody see where the pulmonic valve is? Right, it's over here on the left. Okay, does that make sense to everybody? It's on the left. And then we start coming down the sternal border. And then there's the tricuspid. And there's the mitral. Remember, mitral's on the ground. That's the one we did the left lateral decubus position. We pushed the heart to the front to hear it. Does everybody see this? So remember, if I got a pulmonary problem, so I got pulmonary stenosis, it's going to be a systolic ejection murmur. One more time. Oh, I'm sorry, on the pulmonary, on the left side. I apologize. Right? What's going to happen to my S2? Who's late? The pulmonic valve. So when my S2 becomes split. Remember that ridiculous bar graph you saw in the first year of PA school? Remember those little lines, that said S1, P1, that remember that looked like a line of music, and you're like, what the is this? Remember that? Remember you took one look at that going, I have no freaking idea what I'm looking at, Joe. What's for lunch? Right? I know you did this, guys. Come on. All PA students do this. They take one look at the thing like, what are they talking about? What they were really trying to show is when they opened up. That's all. And if you saw the one for pulmonic stenosis, you will see that the P1, all right, the P2, you'll sit over here, is way behind the A2, which is the aortic valve. Does everybody see this? That's what they're saying to you. They're split. That's what they were trying to share with you at school, guys. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, so one more time. I've got a systolic ejection murmur, second intercostal space, left side, split S2, right ventricular hypertrophy, right axis deviation, and right bundle branch block. Who am I? That's pulmonic stenosis. Make the murmur sound louder. Inspiration, squatting. Exactly. Make it go away. You're like, oh, I could stand and do Valsalvaggio. Exactly. Pulmonary regurg. What have I got? I have a murmur in my second intercostal space on the left side. radiates down to the apex, is a diastolic murmur. How do they present? They're short of breath, Joe. And when you go to do exertion, they don't do well. Exactly. Make it sound louder. It's on the right side. Inspiration. I could also party. I could squat. Make it go away. Standing and Valsalva. And then, of course, how to repair it, right? We repair it based upon the pathology of it, and usually we do replace it with valves. Does that make sense to everybody? Does everybody see this, guys? Okay. So listen, I hope this helps you guys out, right? I hope this kind of cleared your mind out going, okay, I see what he's saying here. This is all starting to make a little bit more sense. And this is what I need. Because usually what you'll see, guys, like you look at the test questions, like, and I've looked at them all, I subscribe to Kaplan. I supply UWorld. I like UWorld the best. Rosh, I see how these questions come. And what they'll do is they'll give you this real vagueness, won't they? They'll tell you like it's a diastolic murmur, yeah, she was vacuuming the floor, blah, 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 vague, vague, vague. And then what they'll do is they'll actually then throw in there, oh, Worth was inspiration. And don't worry, there'll just be one right-sided murmur saying like tricuspid stenosis. You're like, oh God, there it is. It's inspiration on the right. So does everybody see this is how they do it, guys? So they're not going to give you those typical questions that you saw in PA school. They're going to give you this very ambiguous question, but they're going to slide in just a little nugget. Okay, just a little nugget, and then they're going, okay, and by the way, the S2 split, and it got worse with inspiration. You're like, oh, who's late? Oh, inspiration, right side. Who's late? Pulmonic valve. He's late to the date. Okay, what happened? Took forever to open up. Okay, there you go. So hopefully this makes more sense than everything. And don't worry, guys, we recorded this thing, so this will be up there on the Smarty PANCE thing, stuff like that. So listen, guys, it was really nice meeting everybody. You guys have a good Sunday. All right, I'm going to go walk the dogs and then go to work. Okay, guys. All right, take care, guys. Bye, guys. Bye, everybody.